Hi everyone, it's Chenzo from Reality Art Pod here to recap the season premiere of Survivor 47 titled One Glorious and Perfect Episode. Firstly, I'm excited to be back for my third Survivor season. Welcome back to returning viewers who I haven't seen in a while. And to new viewers, stick around for the season. If you like the content, consider liking and subscribing. But let's dive into it. We open to the fine whittled craftsmanship of a Survivor logo as all 18 survivors ride in on a dumpster. We meet baller and greatest showman Sam, who calls himself a wolf in wolf's clothing, and our YouTubing marching bander Asia, who the show finds urgent to show us took basketball headshots as a child. Kyle grew up in foster care and now he has a doggy and a baby. That's nice. Tiana is the first native Hawaiian to play Survivor. Oh, and there's podcaster who I listen to, John Lovett. And Sue is talking mad game.
When I win Survivor, my final words will be, I'm 59, and I beat all your asses.
The players are greeted by sweet baby Jeff, effervescent as ever, and Jeff tells them they'll be forming new communities out there. He introduces Blue Tuku tribe, Red Lavo, and Yellow Gata tribe. Blue, red, yellow, so boring. He match chats with Gabe, who says he's a grinder man. He means he's hardworking. Teeny shows off their scarecrow pants, and Andy says he's had an identity crisis, but he's finally found himself because he's scared of smoking weed. John openly tells the group he's a podcast host, and there are some side eyes as people may be recognizing him, with especially dirty looks from Grinder Gabe. Jeff surprises them with a hidden challenge around the bend, where 2 at a time players will start crawling under a muddy net, get 2 puzzle pieces from different obstacles, then complete their puzzle. They're competing for a reward of their pot, machete, and flint. One tribe will win it all, and the other 2 tribes will have to earn their necessities another way. They get started, and of course the only reason for this challenge is to muddy them up in slow motion for the preview. I also enjoy seeing everyone covered in the mud. I have a thing for it. Yellow Gata get to an early lead, with John really impressing Jeff with his rope twirling skills. Andy and Sierra eventually get confused at an obstacle, slowing down Yellow Gata and opening the door for Red and Blue to get to their puzzles. The story of this challenge is all about Gata, as Rachel and Anika then beast this puzzle and win Gata the reward despite the setback from Andy and Sierra. The losing tribes need to pick one representative to play a mystery challenge for their reward. Asia is picked for Lavo, and TK is rock, paper, scissors as the representative for Tuku. Gata get to camp and are feeling good about their win. John quickly reveals to the group that he podcasts for Pod Save America and nobody on this tribe listens to it. Andy overthinks the math of alliances and bonds with John, sharing that Andy is bi and the first person he came out to was his girlfriend, which is an interesting story. The other members of the tribe notice them separating. On Tuku, Gabe quickly sees Sue as someone he wants to team up with and approaches her, but Sue wants to connect with Caroline, who bond over watching Survivor with their families. Sue wants the 3 of them to be the group. Teeny sees Kashan as a potential ally, and Genevieve loves Rome's energy and wants to work with Rome and Teeny. Teeny proposes the 3 of them team up and bring in Aisha when she gets back. On the journey, Aisha and TK are told they're competing against each other in a race. Only one of them will get the supplies they lost in the challenge. They need to collect 3 keys up a mountain. The first person to the 4th key will win. The first key is a photo with an X on it. They have to find that location. Aisha gets it quickly, but TK struggles. Aisha eats and leaves no crumbs for the first 3 keys, and the last key is underwater back at the beach. Aisha gets lost on the way back, but TK just decides to barrel through the jungle down the hill. He gets to the water first, way ahead of Aisha, but he can't find the key in the water. When Aisha gets to the water, TK finds the key, and Aisha tries to snatch it from him. Ultimately, TK gets the key, and Aisha has to go back alone, knowing it's going to look very bad. Back at Gata, Anika is going off about coconut knowledge, making herself out to be a know-it-all, and becoming the annual camp leader bossy person. Sam loves this because he wants to be the glue of the tribe and not stand out for being too good or too bad. Pageant Queen Sierra impresses the group by starting fire. Over on Blue, TK returns to his tribe with supplies, gotta get the gear, and they're thrilled. In his retells, he tells them that Aisha tried to wrestle him. Caroline notices how the guys are smitten by TK's Riz, calling it a bromance. As they're building the shelter, Gabe finds a beware advantage. He doesn't even consider the consequences and finds out that he's lost his vote until he gets the idol. Gabe finds a lock and a clue to a key. As he's looking for the key, TK catches him red-handed with the key. He lies to TK, saying he randomly found the key with no clue. Gabe. What an incredible performance. For a low-budget movie, TK sees right through him, saying that he makes no sense. Upon her return, Aisha is completely honest with her group. Teeny recognizes Aisha from Rob Has a Podcast and tells us for her knowledge, Aisha is an asset. Rome gets a minute alone and goes out hunting for advantages. He thinks he's slick, but everyone notices. He finds the beware advantage under some measly leaves and gets the same clue as Gabe. Rome smartly decides to wait until later to complete his search. Back at Tuku, Gabe enlists the help of Sue as lookout as he goes to find his idol. He unlocks his box, and inside it, there's an idol that's good for one tribal and another smaller box with another beware advantage. Basically, he can risk his vote again to upgrade his idol to be good for 3 tribals. He decides to take the clue, then drops his box off a cliff that makes a loud noise and makes his tribe even more sus of him. Back at Gata, John is talking about TikTok to appeal to the younger players. Andy wants to collect more allies. He thinks Rachel is smart and approaches her for an alliance. Rachel thinks Andy is nice, but immature and unstrategic. At night, Andy is tossing and turning anxiously and is spiraling, looking for support. He asks Rachel to talk, and she tells him pulling her aside is unstrategic, which comes off as insensitive and dismissive from her. Without her support, Andy continues spiraling. He feels rejected, and it reminds him of high school. Back at Tuku, it's morning, and Grinder Gabe is still grinding away, smashing driftwood, looking for his idol key. He finds his key, opens his box, and there's another box in the box, telling him that another task will give him an idol that's valid until the final 5. He decides to take the 3 tribal idol and not play on, which is what I would do too, successfully completing a series of tasks that I think was harder to watch than it was to complete. If that wasn't enough repetitive viewing, Rome starts looking for his idol and almost instantly gets caught by Asia, who rats him out to the rest of the tribe. They decide to look for Rome as he's face first in the well fishing out his key. He finds the key and they find him fully clothed and soaking wet. When he sees them coming, he runs away, and Asia tells us she vows to get his ass. They head to their immunity challenge where they have to load giant chests into a boat, sail to shore, haul their chests up the beach, and complete a cube puzzle. Their tribal immunity idols are this interesting couple. The first 2 tribes to finish will be immune. The first tribe to finish will also get building supplies and materials. The second place tribe will get some supplies, and the losing tribe will have to vote someone out at tribal council. They get started, and Yellow Gata quickly falls behind, being uncoordinated with their boat. Blue and Yellow tribes both flip their boats, causing Jeff to predictably call them both a disaster. Red Lavo gets ashore first, and the other 2 really struggle to get their boats unflipped and bail the water from them. Lavo completes their puzzle with a huge lead and becomes the first team to win immunity and reward. Gata and Tuku get to the puzzle around the same time, but Tuku takes the lead. During the challenge, Andy separates himself and Jeff summons medical to take care of him. Blue Tuku wins second immunity and baby reward, and Jeff tells Andy, who's overheated, that the tribe lost. Everyone cheers for Andy as he laments to Jeff that he thinks he's being voted out, and he gave the challenge everything he had. When he recovers, he publicly announces that he feels disliked by his tribe, and he notices that people don't help him. He also announces that his best friend is John, and that he was planning on throwing John under the bus, which makes everyone very confused. Jeff cheers Andy on and hands out the idols. After the winning tribes leave, John tells Jeff that he understands where Andy was coming from. Andy was trying to save his own game. Jeff takes their flint, sorry for you, and sends them back to camp to strategize. Back at camp, Rachel still doesn't understand Andy's position. Andy opens up to the group about his past traumas. They support him, but still see him as a liability. John talks to the girls, and they tell John that their plan is to tell Andy to vote for John, which makes him uncomfortable. John then circles back to Andy, who says he wants to vote for Anika. John says,
"If I'm gonna be on this show for one episode, one glorious and perfect episode,
oop, he said the thing.
I'd rather go out swinging and making some kind of a move."
They approach Sam and ask him to vote for Anika as well. Sam's point of view is that these 2 paranoid guys are approaching me to vote for someone who did nothing wrong to me, so he runs back to the girls. They all start considering John as the target because he's more of a liability in challenges and is also acting suspicious. They head to tribal council, which is looking more like Legends of the Hidden Temple every day. Sierra announces Anika as the tribe leader to an eye roll from certified Anika hater Andy. Jeff, brings up Andy's breakdown, and Jeff opens the floor to Andy to tell his story. Talk turns to community, the theme of the season. Andy has worked to have a great community at home and wants to show everyone at home that he can do this. In this conversation, John seems very prickly with Andy about calling him out in front of the entire cast, and Rachel says she empathizes with Andy completely, which is crazy coming from her since she was so unempathetic to him when Jeff wasn't there. They get to voting and no advantages are played. Jeff reads the votes, and by a vote of 5-1, John is voted out of the game. He voted for Anika. So we have to say goodbye to John here, who I had high hopes for. Like I said, I listened to his podcast and I think it's great. It seems like he's a fan of the show, but sometimes being a fan isn't enough. He told everyone out there about his podcast, which was probably a mistake since none of them, at least on his tribe, seemed to recognize him. I'll be honest, I even listened to this podcast and wouldn't have recognized him. I felt really good about him as a player coming into this. I felt like there was some Mike White upside, and I feel like if they would have won this first immunity, he could have faded more into the background. After they lost, he got picky swears from the girls that they would vote for Andy. He should have stopped there. He got paranoid and turned on Anika for no reason, and ultimately, he and Andy were a lot of the same thing in a different font. He was just worse at challenges. I'll continue to listen to his podcast and be a fan, but this was not a good 1-episode arc, far from glorious or perfect. So that's all I have to say about this episode. Overall, I think it was a really great premiere. No quitters, right? I do think this could have been an hour and a half, but let me know in the comments, what did you think of the episode? What do you think of John as a player? And who you're rooting for to win the season? If you liked the video, consider liking and subscribing. It helps get the video out there more. I'll be back next week with more Survivor. Until then, I am posting challenge and Big Brother videos later this week, so check out all that. Until next time, have a nice weekend. Bye.